water.
Ipinaabot naman ng Pangulo ang kanyang pasasalamat sa pamahalaan ng South Korea bilang katuwang ng ating gobyerno sa proyektong ito.
For this, my utmost gratitude goes to the government of South Korea, which has generously partnered with us in this and many other very grand projects that we are undertaking in the Philippines. Indeed, this venture is not only a symbol of our strong friendship and our long-standing ties, but also our reminder of a shared desire for growth and for development.
Para sa iba pang mga balita at impormasyon, manatiling nakatutok, tapat sa pag-uulat, Radyo Pilipinas.
Serving the Republic of the Philippines for more than 75 years. Ito po ang Presidential Broadcast Service. Pakinggan, panoorin, agaran in real time, o balikan sa pag-scroll up and down. Mga balitang dapat malaman, impormasyong tunay at napakikinabangan. Saan ka man, sa buong kapuluan. Bangon sa bagong sigla. Kababayan. Kasama ang social media. Powered broadcaster ng bagong mamamayan. Tapat sa pag-uulat. Ito po ang Presidential Broadcast Service sa Metro Cebu. Radyo Pilipinas, 576 AM.
Oras sa DYMR Radyo Pilipinas, Cebu, alas 3:09 sa kahaponon. Welcome diri sa atong programang Hisgutanan sa Kahanginan. Kauban yung higala Jessa, Agua, Ylanan. Niining madag-umon ug mahanginon nga kahaponon arang rain tao ng atong kahimtang dinhi kung itandi sa atong mga kababayan dito sa Luzon, partikular ang National Capital Region ug ang mga pipila ka mga dapit nga kasamtangan nga giigo sa epekto sa kombinasyon sa bagyong Karina ug sa hangin nga habagat. Hinaot nga ang atong mga kaila, ang atong mga kabanay o mga higala nga anaa didto apektado sa maong pag-uwan ug pagbaha. Atong nakumusta og atong na-check ang ilang mga kahimtang. Apan taliwala og bisan pa man sa atong pag-monitor og sa emerhensiya nga na sinati didto sa kauluhan, nagpadayon gihapon ang post-SONA kon post-State of the Nation Address nga kalihukan diin gituki ang nagkalain-lain nga mga impormasyon o kasayuran. May labot na sa mga punto nga pakita o gihisgutan sa atong presidente sa milabay nga SONA 2024 ni adtong adlaw nga Lunes. Ug karon ang gihisgutan mao ang good governance, peace and order ug ang security. Ug ning tungura atong paminaw na ang maong diskusyon.
Seized a total of 44 billion pesos worth of illegal drugs. And based on statistics, this is the highest amount, highest value of illegal drugs that has ever been seized in the first 2 years of any administration in history. So that's a tremendous achievement considering that this was done without any bloodshed or any great bloodshed. And the BIDA program, of course, includes a component of rehabilitation, of bringing drug surrenderies and bringing them into recovery and returning them back to the community. And almost 500,000 have been part of this program and have been successfully integrated into the community. So that's the BIDA program in a nutshell. It is a life-centered effort towards achieving strides against drugs within the bounds of our oath as public officers, and it also focuses on rehabilitation and treatment and in promoting health and wellness also among the youth. Secretary Benher has, by way of modeling a healthy lifestyle, on a practically monthly and weekly basis, been traveling all around the country, engaging in fun runs, engaging in dialogues with government officials in order to promote health and wellness among the youth, on the idea that merely catching drug pushers and drug suppliers is not enough. We must also reduce the demand for drugs. It has to be a two-pronged effort by reducing supply and reducing demand for drugs by promoting youth and wellness. That is the holistic approach of the BIDA campaign. Thank you, Daphne.
Thank you, Undersecretary Villanueva. Similarly important, the discussions about the operations of POGO is now rampant. As such, President Marcos reiterated that disguising as legitimate entities, their operations have ventured into illicit areas farthest from gaming, such as financial scamming, money laundering, human trafficking, prostitution, kidnapping, torture, and even murder. The grave abuse and disrespect to our system of laws must stop. Kailangan nang itigil ang panggugulo nito sa ating lipunan at paglalapastangan sa ating bansa. Still for the DILG, are there policy reforms or laws that need to be amended to ensure that syndicates that run scamming, human trafficking, and online crimes would not be able to operate in the country again? DILG?
Yes. I think what we in the DLG are focusing now is improving interfacing between law enforcement and local governments so that there can be greater cooperation with respect to rooting out this menace. One thing we would like to emphasize is although we've come to know this new kind of organized crime as POGOs or online gaming operations, another term for them is scam farms. It goes so much more than just simple scams or online gaming. In effect, this new kind of organized crime, these hubs of multiple buildings, they function as BPOs of global crime. It's not just scamming, it's just not just online gaming, it's every form of cybercrime under the sun, including money laundering, data harvesting, you've got disinformation, you also got investment scams, even identity theft, all kinds of fraud. So they do this directly or they do this in service of underworld bosses abroad. And most insidiously, these kinds of operations are run by slave labor, where the people participating in them are made to work under inhuman conditions and tortured. And their operations appear to be like normal BPOs since they sit in front of computer screens. It's not obvious, which is why the close cooperation between the community, between the local governments and law enforcement needs to be strengthened. So what the LG has been doing is been going around. We've had 2 conferences so far with the help of PAGCOR. We've engaged PAGCOR to help us also present to the public the signs, the factors by which these kinds of syndicates can be identified.
Thank you for your insights. Now let's dive into the next excerpt. The Philippines cannot yield, the Philippines cannot waver. We are now more conscious as a people and strategic in heightening our aerial and maritime domain awareness. We are continuing to strengthen our defense posture both through developing self-reliance and through partnerships with like-minded states. This is for the DND. Could you please share with us the status of our efforts to strengthen international defense partnerships? Please expound on this.
Thank you, Ms. Sapi, for the question. The department is currently pursuing the Comprehensive Archipelagic Defense Concept, or CADC, which aims to broaden the strategic depth of the armed force of the Philippines. Simply put, from an inwardly defensive depth concept, we are venturing forth to a defense concept that would ensure that our interests in the exclusive economic zone and the extended continental shelf shall be well protected, to include the protection of our citizens abroad. In the pursuit of the Comprehensive Archipelagic Doctrine, or CADC, there are certain capabilities that the armed forces would need. And in the pursuit of these capabilities, we are venturing forth into the Re-Horizon 3 of the AFP modernization program. This intends to develop our armed forces into an expert and a force that can be multi-domain and could address the evolving security landscape presently besetting us. We are also venturing forth in the development of our cyber defense capabilities, as it is a new domain of warfare. We are developing not only capabilities, but the organizational progress of our cyber group, the AFP Cyber Group, into a AFP Cyber Command. And while we establish an effective maritime domain presence, not only in the West Philippine Sea, but in the entire archipelago, we also engage international defense and security partners abroad. To date, we have 33 formalized engagements. Sweden, which is the newest country we have engaged in, and we are venturing forth into exercises with these countries. The reciprocal access agreement recently signed with Japan is a testament to this engagement. And finally, not only the developing capabilities of our armed forces, we are on track to a defense transformation program that would like to transform the Department of National Defense into a future-ready department that will be able to adequately service our stakeholders, including our 5 bureaus, which are the government arsenal, the National Defense College of the Philippines, the Office of Civil Defense, the Philippine Veterans Affairs Office, and finally, the Armed Forces of the Philippines. These are the thrusts that we are venturing forth in our international engagement in the pursuit of defending our territory. Thank you.
Thank you, Undersecretary De Leon. The President also mentioned that bolstering our Cybercrime Prevention Act, the recently passed Anti-Financial Account Scamming Act, will further protect the public by heightening the responsibility and security systems of banks and financial institutions and imposing high criminal liabilities on social engineering schemes and money mules. This is for the DOJ. The DOJ has an Office for Cybercrime. Could you please tell us more about your agency's efforts to fight cybercrime and how the AFASA can help in this fight?
Good afternoon, Daphne, and good afternoon to our fellow Filipino people. The Department of Justice is very much focused on heightening its capacity in terms of the cybercrime prevention. And in fact, the recent approval in signing into law of the cybercrime law, and that this capacitates more the law enforcement as well as the prosecutors in the fight against cybercrime. We are also trying to ensure that the National Justice Information System, or the NGIS, which is under the helm and leadership of the Department of Justice, would soon enable all partner agencies in that interagency group to talk, quote unquote, with each other in order that they could do information sharing, that all data could be uploaded and could be made available to everyone in the fight against criminality. And we have also to mention that there is an effort to really secure latest technology in order to enable the prosecutors and law enforcement in this fight against cybercrime. We have to emphasize, Daphne, that the law is a bit static and a bit behind in terms of the technology, and cybercrime, as we know it, is an ever-evolving area where there is a lot of prospects for criminalities within the domestic sphere as well as the international sphere. There is transnational crimes that are committed, and there is a serious effort, an all-government approach that is being undertaken by all the security agencies of our government, the armed forces, the law enforcement, in order that we would be able to combat this rising nefarious activity.
Okay, thank
So
you.
that's with respect with the cybercrime matter, Daphne.
Thank you, Undersecretary Vasquez. We'll get back to you a little while. But we still have you in the next one. Let's talk about this quote from the third SONA. The strong pillars of our criminal justice system, especially in light of the revised rules on preliminary investigation and inquest proceedings, and our independent judiciary functions in unison so that our laws are enforced and that justice is served. Undersecretary, what are the next steps to successfully implement these new rules on preliminary investigation?
The newly signed DOJ NPS National Prosecution Service rules on preliminary investigation and inquest proceedings virtually changed the landscape in criminal investigation and prosecution by ensuring that there be a higher degree of proof. There's a higher quantum of proof or evidence needed for the filing of cases. This is to ensure that only quality cases are filed, one that is supported by evidence, real, testimonial, and other corroborative witness, in order that the wrongdoers or the criminals would really be brought to bear before the bar of justice. But at the same time, and more importantly, it is also to assure that the innocents need not needlessly be charged in court or need not needlessly be incarcerated. So, as former President Laurel mentioned, it's better to let go of 1,000 criminals or guilty than to jail one innocent. So the efforts of the DOJ is really to ensure that first, under the case build-up rule, we will also try to formalize the close cooperation, coordination, and assistance between the law enforcement and the prosecution, in order that only trial-ready and evidence-supported cases be filed. And on that point, we have initiated the establishment at this point of a forensic institute, which would now make real a science-based investigation in terms of criminal investigation and prosecution. But this is also useful in terms of calamity and disaster control, because with the higher capacity of our doctors and medical practitioners in terms of forensic science, we would be able to determine the real causes of death. Recently, the DOJ with the United Nations and UP College of Manila inked a memorandum of agreement. That this was a day after the signing of the NPS DOJ rules in Malacanang before in the presence of our President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. And that MOA enabled UP College Manila to be able to conduct comprehensive autopsy of Bucor deaths. This is important because we really need to know what caused the death of our persons in detention, the persons deprived of liberty. And on the flip side of that, it is also good because we should now be able to understand and be able to confront the problems that are besetting our prison systems. I think the health system there, the food they eat, the health facilities, etc. And that is a way by which we would be able to improve the health conditions and the living conditions in our jail system. It is sad to note that the recent reports that came from UP College Manila showed that many a death in Bucor of persons held in detention, these were basically because of tuberculosis and other respiratory diseases. This means that there is really a serious problem with respect to the living conditions. and it's high time for us to do something about that as well. And incidentally, that is one of the pledges that was made by the Philippine government through Executive Secretary Lucas P. Bersamin when we went to Geneva last December. The other one is the creation of the committee, a Human Rights Coordination Committee that will oversee the performance of all government agencies to ensure that all government agencies would perform their tasks and sworn duties under the prism of human rights promotion and protection, Daphne.
Thank you for updating us on the reforms on the justice system under Secretary Vasquez. Let's move now forward to the another equally important subject. The President mentioned this in his SONA. We continuously try to find ways to de-escalate tensions in contested areas with our counterparts without compromising our position and our principles. I know that our neighbors too are doing their very best to make this work. For Secretary Año of the National Security Council, could you please share with us some of the efforts to promote consultation and information sharing among our allies and partners on the issue of the West Philippine Sea?
Maraming salamat, Daphne. First of all, we at the National Security Council and the NTF-WPS would like to express our deep appreciation for the President's statement at the SONA that West Philippine Sea is ours and not a figment of imagination. And the President clearly stated that the Philippines cannot yield and the Philippines cannot waver. Surely there is no backtracking. Our position on the WPS remains fixed and unassailable. It is a position that is solidly grounded in history, in Philippine laws and statute, as well as international law and legal instruments, like, for example, the 1734 Murillo Velarde Spanish map, the Treaty of Paris in 1898, the Treaty of Washington in 1900, the covenant between the United States and the Great Britain in 1930. And of course, the UNCLOS in 1982, and the latest, of course, is the arbitral award by the PCA issued on July 12, 2016. So makita natin na talagang legally and historically atin ang West Philippine Sea. We have sovereignty over the islands and rocks, as well as sovereign rights over the sea and low tide elevation within our EEZ. Of course, we also have the support of the international community, unlike the 10-dash line, which has no legal and historical basis. So ito talaga ang tunay na katang-isip. The administration of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and our country will always seek to uphold peace, stability, security, and rule of law to ensure a free and Indo-Pacific region. We are also guided with ASEAN centrality and processes. The stability is built and sustained through sincere dialogue and active participation with our neighboring states, with the support of our allies and like-minded countries, guided by international law and rule-based international order. In fact, there are 43 countries who are supporting the arbitral award, and 26 of them have openly expressed support and even condemning the acts, the illegal and aggressive acts of the PRC. And in all the forum, conferences, summit that we are joining and participating, we make sure that the arbitral award is always part of the agenda. But unfortunately, tensions remain in some contested areas, particularly in Ayungin Shoal, which is considered a low tide elevation within our EEZ, where we maintain PRP Sierra Madre as an outpost. Lately, it was the scene of numerous incidents and skirmishes brought about by illegal, aggressive, coercive, and deceptive actions by another government, well, particularly the PRC or China, in utter disregard of the law. In fact, yung pinakahuli nating insidente dito ay ang June 17 incident wherein illegal excessive use of force were applied and resulted to the injury of one of our sailors, the loss of his thumb. While we stand our ground and protect what is ours, we do not seek escalation, but rather choose the professional and peaceful handling of the situation. Our soldiers and sailors are disciplined and exercise maximum self-control and restraint. But make no mistake about it. If we are attacked, we will defend and fight back with all our might. Sabi pa nga ni General Douglas MacArthur, no, sa kabayanihan at katapangan ng ating mga sundalong Pilipino, give me 10,000 soldiers and I will conquer the world. Therefore, our call to de-escalate tensions in the West Philippine Sea is a proof of our commitment to fostering regional peace and stability through diplomacy and constructive dialogue. The 9th bilateral mechanism meeting last July 2 has already yielded positive results in terms of reducing the tension in Ayungin Shoal. Only in Ayungin Shoal. Because ang dalawang party ay nag-agree na pababain o pahupain natin ang tension dito. Well, it is our right to resupply our troops in BRP Sierra Madre. And we will always do that as guided by our President. At in our discussion and dialogue with the PRC, we would like to assure our people that our national interests shall remain paramount and our national security will never be prejudiced. Our sovereignty and sovereign rights will never be compromised. Nakalatag din yung ating mga patakaran at hakbangin upang mapagtibay natin ang pag-aari sa West Philippine Sea. Ito ay ang right mix combination ng ating legal, diplomatic, information, socio-economic, and military law enforcement efforts. True peace, however, cannot be built out of weakness or might. Lasting peace and stability are forged where there is respect for the sovereign equality of all nations and there is adherence to rule-based international order. The West Philippine Sea is ours, and the fishes, marine, aquatic, and all the rich natural resources belong to the Filipino people. Ang West Philippine Sea, atin ito.
Thank you, Secretary Año. And President Marcos also mentioned, no guerrilla fronts remain active across the country today. Only 7 weakened groups remain to be dismantled, and they are the subject of focused operations. But along with the assertion of government might, we also offer peace, development, interventions, and reintegration programs for those who have returned to the fold of the law. Lieutenant General Ylanan, aside from fighting rebels, we know that the AFP is also very much involved in many development activities in the countryside. Could you please tell us about the AFP's efforts to win the peace and promote development in conflict-affected areas?
Yes, the Armed Forces of the Philippines has been pursuing the campaign plan of the Armed Forces, which is to defeat the enemies of the state. However, it doesn't mean only defeating the enemies by conducting operations, but we also conduct civil military operations and other operations to support this. In fact, we are even very involved in the peace efforts of the government. That's why the AFP has been pursuing the full surrender of the former rebels. And since 2022 up to the present, we have already 6,921 former rebels of the CPP-NPA, and also 578 former violent terrorists who have also surrendered, and they are given livelihood, and they're being integrated into the community through all the efforts of our units in in the fields. Also, aside from the peace efforts, we have also the amnesty program where the AP also is very active. That's why now we already have 578 personalities who have applied for the amnesty program. The AFP always will pursue the path to peace. That's why we always asking those remaining rebels to surrender peacefully so that we can ensure their peaceful integration back into the communities.
Thank you, General Ylanan. Let us now move to the next statement during the President's SONA. We have noted an overall decrease in crime rate and an improvement in crime solution efficiency, but this is not enough. Our law enforcers need to earn the trust of our people. Police Lieutenant General John Michael Dubria, what are the PNP's efforts in ridding its ranks of police personnel involved in illegal drugs?
Okay. Good afternoon. Walang video, wala tayong video. Yes, good afternoon. Ma'am, the Philippine National Police is intensifying its internal cleansing program regarding our personnel involved in illegal drugs or any irregularity, not only in illegal drugs. We do not tolerate these personnel who are involved in any criminal activities, and we charge them appropriately, either administratively or criminally.
Thank you. Let us now discuss this quote by the President. Our police, military, and Coast Guard undergo continuous capacity building and asset upgrading so that they are better able to preserve the peace and defend our territory. Kindly expound on this. This is for Commandant Gavan.
Yeah, I'd like to start from the whole statement, the context of the message of the President itself, which in gist have defined the three elements that makes the Coast Guard as it is today. He made mention about the need for us to have the baselines law, the maritime zones law, and the archipelagic sea lanes law. He also made mention that the way for us is to solve the issue in the West Philippine Sea, but we will not yield. That defines what are the needs of the Coast Guard in capacitating itself in order to pursue that careful balance between the two requirements. We will not yield, but at the same time, we must be able to pursue peaceful resolution of the issue. So the Philippine Coast Guard has since embarked on massive training of its people on the law of the sea. For most, we have to know the law to be able to pursue rules-based approach. We have also pursued better discipline system in the Coast Guard to make sure that everybody adheres to the rule of law and the way we do things at sea. Alam niyo po, mahirap mag-enforce sa isang environment na inaalon ka at hinaharas ka ng iyong mga katunggali. So we really need to have the Coast Guard have that very defined sense of discipline. We have also defined how we have to organize ourselves. So in the past several months, when the President has assumed a control of the country as the Commander-in-Chief, we developed task forces to make sure that our command and control system is better aligned with the guidance of the President. So far, the three elements have been met. It is now very clear to us where we should operate. It is now very clear to us what we should do. And it is now very clear for us what we should achieve. So the son of the president is really very material for us.
Thank you, Commandant Gavan. Let's move on to PAGCOR. Of course, we have to talk about this quote because the president was met with a standing ovation in this part. Effective today, all POGOs are banned. I hereby instruct PAGCOR to wind down and cease the operations of POGOs by the end of the year. For Chairman Al Tenco, how can the PAGCOR collaborate with law enforcement agencies to run after illegal POGOs?
Well, good afternoon, Daphne. Actually, even prior to the announcement of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in the last SONA, PAGCOR, in coordination with the ILG, the PAOK-TF, the NBI, the Bureau of Immigration, the Department of Justice, and the Department of Labor and Employment have already started working together to run after all these illegal POGO operators. I just want to make this clear. Prior to my assumption as chairman and CEO of PAGCOR, the previous board of PAGCOR had authorized and issued a total of 298 licenses. And when I assumed office and seeing that more than majority of these companies were not involved in any gaming operations, but rather were involved in criminal activities such as scamming, credit card fraud, you had investment frauds, you had love match fraud. We then decided that it was time for us to move in and purge the licensees who were violating all the rules, regulations, and guidelines that have been issued by PAGCOR. In fact, first thing that we did after finding out that most of these licensees were not following any of the guidelines and rules of PAGCOR was to immediately declare them all as being classified as probationary in status. And from 298, we were able to bring the number down to about 75. And the 75 already included the service provider, well, the licensees, which now total about 44. Of the 44, 3 are currently suspended. And then we have support services or service providers that are close to about 19. And we have this new classification of 14 SBPOs. So what I just want to emphasize is that prior to the announcement, there were already efforts being made by all these government agencies that are involved in the said operations. And because of the President's instruction to PAGCOR last Monday in the SONA, we again have we are all making sure that starting this coming week, we will be meeting again to discuss what we will have to do to be able to wind down the operations of all these companies. And I just want to emphasize that yesterday, we were already cooperating and meeting with the congressional leaders because there is also a congressional act that has to be made, and I'm scheduled to meet the Department of Labor and Employment next week in my discussions with Secretary Beniling Guesma, primarily because there will be about 40,000 Filipino workers that will be affected by this said closure by the end of the year. And the DILG, who is present today, we are going to continue our town hall meetings with the different local government units. In fact, last Saturday, we were in Region 3 in Clark to talk to the local government officials of Regions 1, 2, and 3. And then Saturday afternoon, we were in Camp Crame and we met the LGU officials of Metro Manila and that of Region 4 and Region 4A. So this will be a collaboration of all the other government agencies that are needed or that need to cooperate with PAGCOR so that we will be successful in implementing the order of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.
Thank you, Chairman Tanco. The President Marcos also said that in Marawi, the rehabilitation and rebuilding continue under the supervision now of the Office of the President. Our focus remains on restoring energy, water, and livable communities. This is for the Office of the Presidential Advisor for Marawi Rehabilitation, or OPAM-R, Secretary Nasser Pangandaman. Could you please expound more about the projects on rehabilitating and rebuilding Marawi?
Yes, Madam. Yes, first and foremost, magandang hapon po, Daphne, at sa ating kababayan. Diyan po, kami po natutuwa at magpapasalamat sa ating mahal na Pangulo nabanggit po sa kanyang SONA ang tuloy-tuloy po na rehabilitasyon, rebuilding ng Marawi City. Just a short background on this, ito po ang rehabilitation ng Marawi City ay nag-umpisa 2017. Pagkatapos po ng Marawi
Sorry,
City,
Secretary Pangandaman, let's...
Ito po ay pinangunahan mo ng urban development. Ito po ay ang pamalaan ng rehabilitation. So, ganun po yung pag-umpisa po ng rehabilitation ng Marawi City. At tayo po ay nagpapasalamat sa ating mga Pangulo dahil nag-issue po siya ng Administrative Order 14 na nililipat po niya ang rehabilitation ng Marawi City directly under the supervision ng Office of the President. And therefore, ito po ay sinusupervise po ng aking tanggapan at nakita po namin na meron po tatlong, among others po, meron po tayo nakitang tatlong critical issues na dapat pong i-address. Ito po ay tungkol po sa energy, kung papapailaw po sa Marawi City. Pangalawa, yung tubig. At pangatlo po yung housing issue sa Marawi City. So yan po yung tatlong direktiba ng ating mahal na Pangulo na ating pong tinututukan ngayon para po ma-rehabilitate po natin ang ating Marawi City. Nais ko pong bagitin dito sana, alam po niyo noong 2017, ang isa sa mga naunang national leaders po na pumunta sa Marawi City ay ating mahal na Pangulo. Siya po ay patatapos lang po ng eleksyon noon nung siya po ay tumakbong Vice President. At noong 2017 po, nagkakaroon pa lang po ng clearing operations doon sa Marawi City. Siya po ay bumisita doon at nakita po niya yung extent ng devastation doon po sa city. That's why siya po ay gusto po niyang tutukan ito. Kaya po linipat po niya ang supervision ng rehabilitation, rebuilding ng Marawi City under the direct supervision of the Office of the President.
Thank you, Secretary Pangandaman. Of course, that was your update about the rehabilitation and rebuilding of Marawi, focused on restoring energy, water, and livable communities. Thank you, Secretary. And now, President Marcos Jr. also emphasized our police, military, and Coast Guard undergo continuous capacity building and asset upgrading so that they are better able to preserve the peace and defend our territory sa ating buong sandatahang lakas sa Coast Guard at sa ating mga mangingisda sa West Philippine Sea. Tanggapin nyo ang taus-pusong pagsasalamat ng buong bansa dahil sa inyong ginagawang pagmatyag at sakripisyo. That was a beautiful statement by the President that really, I think, touched a lot of people. And he said it a lot better than I read it, but it was beautiful. This is for DOTR Secretary Jaime Bautista. Does the DOTR have initiatives to spread consciousness and knowledge on the West Philippine Sea to our people, especially the youth?
Thank you, Daphne, for that question. No? You know, the DOTR and the Philippine Coast Guard have initiatives to inform the youth of the many issues regarding the West Philippine Sea. No? Commodore Admiral Gaban can even expound on this. They have projects that involve even health consciousness. They have projects. They even have this comics project of information, no? And I'd like Admiral Gaban to please expound on this. No?
Thank you, Secretary, sir. Yes, the Philippine Coast Guard has embarked in several programs, including, number one, we have this focused social media campaign. We reach out the youth, because we know that they are into social media more than us, the older generation. So we also embark on what we call the comics initiative. We have this, ang mga kwento ni Teacher June. This will be distributed to the schools. So we believe that we should start them young. Dapat alam ng mga kabataan kung ano ang West Philippine Sea, bata pa lang siya. We are also thinking about developing a coloring book for the preschoolers. So that early, dapat alam na nila kung ano yung West Philippine Sea. As you know, we are only as good as the support of the people that we receive. We have also embarked, alam po natin lahat siguro to, yung takbo para sa West Philippine Sea. So all the runners are into it, but in doing so, they are also made aware that they have to do their share in defending the West Philippine Sea.
Thank you for that update, Commandant Gavan and Secretary Bautista. I'm going to look at that later. It looks very good. a nice book for young people. Let's move on now to some questions from the media. I will call on GMA 7's JP Soriano.
Thanks, Daphne. Good afternoon, secretaries and sirs. My question is for you, Charles, and to NSA Anyo. While the Philippines is trying to navigate a peaceful resolution in the West Philippine Sea, specifically in the Ayungin Shoal, does the agreement with China stipulate that the Philippines agrees to any provisions regarding site verification and restrictions on bringing in construction materials at the PRP Sierra Madre? Would you be able to provide some clarity on this, Secretary Anyo and Yusek Jose?
May I answer the question?
Please repeat your question.
Oh, okay. Sir.
No.
yes-
Answer the question.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, first of all, this is not an agreement, but this is what we call an understanding, an exchange of notes, where there is a common accepted parameter for both sides. And we agreed, both sides agreed that detention will be reduced in Ayungin Shoal to prevent skirmishes, to prevent anything that may lead to injury or harm to our soldiers or to anyone. So there was a sort of a comment or publication or statement from the Chinese side about telling certain provisions. Well, I'm telling you that that is not accurate. That is really false because there's no such kind of on-site inspection. What the two sides agreed are really a common understanding that the RORE shall proceed with instruction from the Chinese side. This is to ensure that there will be no untoward incident. And basically, the principles are generic. No? But on disclosing the content of the common understanding, it has to be agreed upon by the sides from the government and from the PRC. What I understand is it should not be issued in public unless there is consent from both sides. But one thing that I can say, there is no prejudice or compromise in our sovereignty and our sovereign rights claim. Our national interests are never compromised. And we did not agree on anything that would undermine our position in the West Philippine Sea. But as a peace-loving nation that adheres to the rule of law, it is but proper to support this particular initiative of coming up with this common understanding to just reduce the tension in Ayungin Shoal. In the coming days, we will see the result of this very positive development, and hopefully this will become a regular activity of resupplying our troops in BRP Sierra Madre. And it is our right to resupply our troops in BRP Sierra Madre, who our soldiers are valiantly defending and ensuring that our position in the West Philippine Sea remain fixed and unassailable.
Thank you, NSA Anyo, for explaining the contents of the diplomatic note. May I just briefly shift to another topic? This question is addressed to Chairman Tenko. Following the President Marcos's order to ban pogos, Senator Risa Ontiveros wants clarification on whether IGLs, which are reportedly or allegedly being used to rebrand pogos, will also be shut down. What's your take on this, sir? Should IGLs be included when President Marcos's directive to be shut down within a year? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Well, the instruction of President Marcos is very clear. PAGCOR has been instructed to wind down the operations of all. Very clear po yun. And I just want to clarify that the difference between the POGO is the POGOs were the companies that we purged. I mentioned earlier we had 298 when I assumed office. Today, we have, including service providers and this new classification of SBPOs, we only have close to about 70. So what really happened is when we purged the list of licensees, it was very unfortunate that those that did not have any license or legal capacity or legal authority to do business anymore still continued to do so. And that is the cause of all this bad publicity that the country is getting today. No, I think that should be made clear. Now, IGLs were those that were reissued or where their licenses were renewed. So it was not, IGLs are not there because they were just merely rebranded. Of the 298, they were the deserving, legitimate companies who were never involved in any criminal activity. Unfortunately, because of the order of the president, even those companies, many of whom are owned by foreign investors, are affected by this order. So I was in Congress yesterday in a hearing, the Committee of Games and the Committee of Public Order. I made it clear, and today, this afternoon, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity. The instruction of President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. is very clear. PAGCOR, you are instructed to wind down the operations of all. First of all, I cannot wind down the operations of those who are operating illegally because they're not in my jurisdiction anymore. So, very clear po yun. So, I do not know where this news is coming from. There is confusion, and I thank you for giving me an opportunity this afternoon to clarify the matter. There is also one, I'll take advantage of this. There is a report coming from Maki Pulido.
O kato ang nagpadayon nga post-SONA 2024 discussion sa ang diin ang gituki mao ang peace and order situation og ang atong national security usab lakip ang atong pag-insister sa atong kaugalingnan in terms na sa West Philippine Sea ug uban pa nga mga hisgutanan sa kabahin sa peace and order ug national security. Nagpadayon gihapon ang diskusyon mahitungod sa post-SONA 2024 apan anaa naman kini sa open forum nga dapit ug kun buot mo nga mo tan-aw ug mo padayon sa maong diskusyon diin na open forum na kini kauban ang mga tigbalita didto sa kauluhan. Mamahimo ninyo kining matanaw sa atong Facebook page Radyo Pilipinas Cebu tungod kay anaa didto nagpadayon ang pagtuki kauban ang press briefer nga si Miss Daphne Osenia Paes ug ang mga nagkalain-lain nga mga ahensya sa gobyerno aron sa pagpalawom sa hisgutanan ug sa mga punto nga gituki ni Presidente Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. atol na sa State of the Nation Address 2024. Ning tungura, manamilit ako og musunod na ang programang Operasyon Lokal kauban si Ma'am Jean Antiporta. Mobalik ko karon taud alang sa